We believe that the way that they report all the crime and the demographics, we believe that they're not adequately reported. Manfredi, who is one of the officers that's being indicted, has alleged that DYER would change the classifications of the reports. For example, if a woman was raped, they would not say it was a rape, they would say it was an assault. If it's a rape, it's being treated different, and there's a higher crime level, a sentencing. So if Manfredi is crying because he got arrested and he's telling the truth, then we better fear. We as women in Fresno ought to fear that, because we're being treated different. Obviously, women are being treated different if there's been approximately 4 lawsuits within the department on gender discrimination.
So Gloria, I do understand that DYER had either retired. Can you kind of elaborate on why he came back, or was there a reason why?
The mayor and the city manager, who lies like a dog, said that no one wanted to take the job. I spoke to a couple of the deputy chiefs, and they told me there was no application, so how could there be a job opening? So the mayor, again, is lying to us. And
who is the mayor?
The mayor, Ashley Swarrington. She continues to lie because there was no actual job offer out there or any job applications. So DYER got it and continues to be chief of police. He gets his pension and he gets an additional wage and benefits and ongoing contribution to the pension.
Would it be fair to say that more people in Fresno get shot unarmed? I mean, without a gun and with a gun?
In comparison to Sacramento and other cities like ours, Fresno, San Jose, which has a bigger population, Fresno outshoots everybody.
One thing I want to say too, for those of us who are here who know about police shootings, I mentioned earlier how our community, his war on gangs has actually been a war on our community and has actually messed up a lot of families. We have a brother here today, Henry Armiento, whose brother Emmanuel Armiento, who was shot to death on May 8th, and he would like to say something on behalf of his family.
Yeah, my little brother was murdered May 8th, a lot of people, a lot of witnesses were there on the scene, and they had said my little brother had his hands up in the air like this, but the officer still took his life, not out of self-defense or fear of the police officer, but pretty much because the officer fell down. He was disrespected, he felt disrespected, and decided to kill my brother over that, not because his life was in danger of any sort. It's just a played out excuse that these officers use. Oh, my life was in danger, so okay, bam, I'm gonna lay him out with 10 shots, or etc., etc., etc. What you see going on in the city, people's families are being destroyed over these officers' crimes, and it needs to stop. They had took a sworn oath to protect the community, but here they are, they're killing the people in the community, and that needs to stop. We're fed up with this. That's it.
It's important for the families that they be heard, because what happens is that they get lost in this. Like what I mentioned earlier, the settlement that DYER was just sued for, he's supposed to get in touch with the families. He hasn't done that. And then they wonder why we don't trust the police. And they wonder why we don't call the police. And then they wonder why we don't want to talk to the police, because the police are acting like the so-called criminals that they're supposed to be out there cracking down on. They're cracking heads in our community. This war is outrageous. We saw what Anaheim looked like. Fresno's lucky people have not, taken to that position where they start, rioting and taking on the cops that way. So if they wonder why people don't trust them, Henry's here to tell you why. His brother was murdered at the hands of Fresno police under the command of DYER, and that's why he's got to go.
The injunctions is another issue that raises concerns to our community, because a lot of people were put away in prison just for violating an injunction. And so you criminalize a whole generation of people who come out and aren't able to get jobs. And so that, again, puts an impact on the minorities, because the injunctions are geared against minorities. And so that's an issue that we've got a problem with, and we want that investigated. the hiring of the OIR supposedly is happening as we speak, but nobody has input into that. The firing of the OIR because there was no money, and because Mark Scott told us that he wrote like a 5th grader and later denied it, is really scary, because that report really showed that cops are using their guns a hell of a lot more than any other city. And why? Because malfunctioning tasers? Or because they're not properly trained? And then the question, ABC, you guys, Channel 47, when you did the last report on the last shooting, you had a witness saying that it was a water bottle, because I went on the net and I was watching the news. Everybody else said it was a gun. So then we remember what happened in Roosevelt. The cop had a gun in his ankle. Is that the gun that we're seeing on TV? What happened to the water bottle? Was that collected? Was that made part of the evidence? Just like when they killed Graham, he had a cell phone. They called him and told him to, they had his wife call them, told him to come outside, and then they executed him. You know, just like Figueroa. Figueroa was putting on his seatbelt. They went up and they shot him in the chest.
So Gloria, one time we heard that in the Fresno Police Department that guns, dope, and money was stolen out of the evidence department. Would it be fair to say that civilians had keys to the evidence department, or would
we didn't even know where it was at?
Nobody was ever charged for the 22 kilos of cocaine that was taken out of the evidence locker at the Fresno Police Department.
Or the money.
About 5 years ago.
Or
and
the money.
DYER did some kind of bullshit about personnel action and that type of thing. But I mean, 22 keys of cocaine, that's a little bit of money.
I mean, you have his sister's son who's taking oxycontin and dealing out of the house, and she says she doesn't know about it? And yet she goes into our houses and accuses our children of using drugs. Now, if she can't even recognize drugs being used by her own son, how in the hell is she able to recognize it for people of color? And yet she continues.
Drug tested police, we're not kidding. This is not just a slogan. This is the truth. We believe that if you were to drug test these police officers who shot people, you're going to find them dirty. They're going to be on something, because the manner that they go about this cowboy mentality about shoot now and ask questions later, it's ridiculous. And by the way, one last thing. For the Tea Party members out there, anybody who's a member of the Tea Party and claims they care about taxes, they need to be out here questioning what's going on in the police department, because that police department is going to make this city broke. Gloria's already touched on the issues, already touched on what's going on, and that money's being paid out to families during the lawsuits. That money's going, we don't know where. So if anybody truly cares about this city, the taxpayers' money, they need to check with Jerry DYER, because he's spending and wasting it over when he has to go to another lawsuit, whether it's sexually based or whether it's killing of another person in the neighborhood.
This last recent settlement where they told us that his attorney got paid $800,000, that was the first time we ever heard what the department had to pay out, what the city of Fresno had to pay out. We know that the Vargas case was settled for $1.3 million, but that doesn't take into account what the department had to pay out for its defense against Arturo Gonzalez.
Plus, they put policemen on administrative leave. That meant that policeman, Palomino, who was a sergeant, got paid $107,000 in sergeant wages in the period of time he was awaiting the trial. So the facts of it is that when we're talking about millions of dollars lost in lawsuits, and that attorney in the Vargas case got $300,000, that's Witih. Witih is the same attorney that's defending Manfredi and the other ones that are charged in federal court. Now, he made $300,000 off the Vargas shooting. Yeah, I got that. But anyway, the point of it is that they're paying heavy money to defend these people. Like the $800,000 for the deputy chiefs. The deputy chiefs got $100,000 each, Navarez and Schaefer. But it costs $800,000 for a law firm from LA to defend DYER. So you're talking about $1 million out of the public money right there.
So while all this money,
and what you're really talking about is they ain't disciplining DYER. You know, the dude, and there ain't nobody at that city hall saying, hey, we got to get rid of this guy because he's a liability.
He's a racist, sexist dog, and we're not dealing with him. We're paying him. We're settling the case.